Hey, David.
What's
Wow,
going
that was
on, Kristin?
my air conditioning turned off just in time, and I didn't do it. It's
I can't
amazing.
hear it. I can't hear your AC. Maybe it's you up here.
No,
It's all
just
on my
ask
side.
anyone who's been like spent any amount of time in our house. They'll tell you our air
Well, I'm
conditioning.
I'm just telling you, your realtor should have done a better job of letting you know that you're gonna buy a house with an air conditioning sound.
I agree.
Like,
But like
why does he have to give?
all jokes aside, no, it really is weird though. We've had some people look at it. There doesn't seem to be a fix, but it's okay. I love my home otherwise. A little bit of noise is look, compared to what's going on in the world, it's nothing. It's
Yeah, that is
nothing.
true. That is true.
So,
Well, but now you did get that little seat in there. Was that on the seller's disclosure?
no, because it's new. It's not old. It's like a
Oh,
new
what
system.
happened?
So there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's just it's an old, it's an older home, and so I think there's not. I think it has to do with the number of like intake versus out.
Yeah. No, no, it's fine. I was about to take it an extra notch and ask, did your realtor not tell you to get an inspection?
We did, and it was fine. It was fine. Well, unfortunately, noisy is not something that they usually say. It's noisy. We should.
I see. We should put it on the seller's disclosure.
Yeah,
How's your day going?
it's great. I'm super excited today. The champagne opening of Rocky Horror Picture Show at the Zach Scott Theater with my daughter in the cast is tonight, and so we've just been kind of prepping things because we got a lot of people going tonight. So lots of people that are gonna go there, and it's kind of funny because Tom and I we're trying to make a date night of it,
Uh-huh.
but the boys are also gonna go, so like they're coming with other people. So it's just been like kind of a coordination nightmare. But I'm just really excited. I saw the preview, and it was great then, but I'm sure it's only gonna be better. And I mean, who doesn't love an opening? How fun is that? So that's on the docket for today. Last night I was on the UT campus doing a student film where I got to play like an exhausted, burned out teacher.
Ooh.
But it was fun. They were I just love doing it so much because the kids are so smart and creative and funny, and that I get to sort of play in that sandbox is just it's just sheer joy. And it's a very small time commitment to get so much in return is how I feel. So that was last night. That was great. And I also had this moment last night where just getting to I realize I don't often get to walk around UT in the evening. You know what I mean? That's like not been my stage of life in the 20 years that I've lived here. And it was so nice. It was one of those moments, I think every once in a while you start to appreciate something that's been in your life a long time that you take for granted because it's always been there, so you don't notice it. I mean, I think that can happen with lots of things, right? But in this case, it's like I hardly think about UT. Like Tom works there, so they pay my bills. Like, yay. But
Yeah.
to actually like to be there last night, it was cool and the weather was beautiful. And I thought, this is really cool. It's like cool that I live here. So it was great. I'm feeling happy. How
Good.
about you?
Still no sleep with the newborn. Nah, I'm joking. I have to be honest. The wife is taking over, and I'm able to sleep a little bit more. But this morning I had to go to one of the Airbnbs, and the guest moved out yesterday, and it wasn't booked. But then all of a sudden, late last night, I get this message, right? Hey, I want to book your place for 3 months. We just sold our house in Lakeline, and we have nowhere to go. So called the cleaners, called everybody, and of course, there's some contractors that weren't able to make it. So there's David going at 6:30 in the morning, trying to make sure that everything is good to go. Because those things are hard. I mean, it's people think it's easy, but I mean, it's hard work because if you get one bad review,
I know. It sticks with you.
It ruins you. It ruins you. You have to be like, almost sometimes it really feels like you're kissing butt, kissing ass. I'm just gonna say it, it's our show. Fuck it. You're kissing ass. And but you know, you also want them to have a really good experience. I mean, it's your place. You should keep it up to par. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's an investment and it's a great return. So yeah, can't complain really. So hey, moving it along. What's the highlight for today?
So our highlight is this is the first time we've done this where we're like our highlight is also going to be part of our discussion time, which is great, which is our friends David Richardson and Josh Shalom, and they're specialists in tiny homes and have big plans. So I can't wait to talk to them. I'm sort of obsessed with tiny homes. Um, I do feel like there's one in my life, in my future eventually. I don't know when, but just I looked up some interesting and fun facts. The first one being that I guess in like 2017, so this is even kind of old, the number of tiny home sales in this country grew by 67%. And I'm sure it's only gone up where we are because of our housing market. But of the people living in tiny homes, 50% of them have more money in savings than people that live in standard homes. And 80% of tiny home owners have less debt than people who live in standard homes, which it all makes logical sense, And I think it's not all perfect and rosy, right? Like you need to do your research, you need to plan ahead. And then I'm excited to talk to Josh and David to see what their plan is on it, because sometimes people will purchase a tiny home but they don't have a place to put it. So then it's like, do they need to purchase land, or are they going to rent land? And different towns and cities have different restrictions. But I do think it's going to be big in our area just because of our market and how crazy it is. But I also love it from an eco standpoint. I think it's fascinating. Like I
It,
think a lot. Like how much of this home really am I spending my time in? I mean, I on like this little chair here, like the couch and my bed. Like there's just I could cut it down so much. So I'm interested. So
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be entertaining. It's gonna be educational more than anything. I think personally. Um, I mean, we're heading there eventually. We're gonna be there for sure.
yep.
It all depends what happens. I mean, interest rates keep on going up now in the fives. A lot of people, like I said in the previous podcast or video podcast, they're just getting bought out from the market. They're just not able to afford it anymore. So
Yeah.
this could be a brand new take on it. I actually ended up working with David on another project that I did, personal project for housing as well. And then he started talking to me about this kind of like this subdivision, right? This neighborhood that they wanted to create. So hopefully he'll share some light on that. And yeah, let's roll it. Let's
Okay,
play
let's
it.
bring them in.
Home builders.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for joining us with Real Austin. I'm really excited about this week's topic. We're going to be talking about tiny homes and tiny home living. And we've got some experts with us to talk to you about it today. So, David, take it away.
Right. In a few moments, I'll introduce Mr. Joshua Salinas to you, my business partner, but I'll kind of lay a foundation that Josh will build upon. So I started researching tiny homes about 4 years ago. I was in Alabama. I heard all the talk in California, Texas, Florida about tinies. So I thought maybe it sounds like maybe it's a fad. So I actually came out to Texas for a little over a week, went to many, many different large towns, small towns that had tiny home building presence. And I researched it. And the more I researched it that week, I said, wow, in Texas, this is here to stay. This is not a fad. So laying a few thoughts about a tiny home. A true tiny is typically 399 feet or smaller of heated or living square feet. When you go larger than on the footprint, 400 and up, then it becomes more of what's called a park model. But 399 or smaller meets the true definition of an RV concept of a tiny home. And they can be 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 3 bedroom, 1 bath. Joshua is in the process of building one with a loft. So he has a 2-story he's working on. So it can be 1 story, 2 story, and there are 50 different reasons why you could enjoy a tiny home. It could be a man cave, it could be a woman cave, it could be a grandma or grandpa flat for the backyard, so the family didn't have to go to assisted living. It can be used for hunting, fishing. It can be used for a second home. It can be used for business development. David, I want to throw this out there to you, David, and with all due respect to your Keller Williams team, Joshua and I have a major investor with us that we're ready to develop a tiny home community anywhere within 50, 60-mile radius of Austin. But we just need some people who work with us on the land. So if anyone out there is land motivated, you'd like to own and control land, then we could build either tiny home developments on or 400 feet or larger on. In the 50-mile radius, 60-mile radius of Austin, there's no affordable housing.
Right.
So the tiny home meets not only the niche of affordable housing for 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom, but allows the consumer to not be forced to go into apartment situations. How many of us would rather own our asset than just rent, spending thousands and thousands of dollars in annual rent? So tiny homes can meet so many different needs. And the ones that Josh and I build, they have the mini split systems in it. So it's got heating and cooling, the most efficient possible in the units. And I'm just so excited because tiny houses are no longer just talk. They're here to stay, David, Kristin.
Yeah. I mean, this is where I was heading, right? This could be used for so many different things, but nowadays, where this market is heading is affordability, and a lot of people are getting kicked out of this market just because of the incredible, insane prices that are happening right nowadays. But what I mean, you said is it comes with a mini split. It could be all the way up to a 3-bedroom, and you're talking about 399 square feet.
It can be, yeah. The secondary rooms are smaller, but it's definitely doable, no doubt about it. But for
Okay.
just a little bit more square footage, we can go a little bit larger. And David and Kristin, once we get this community started, we've got financial backing on the land. We have financing available for I-10 clients, for clients who struggle in the 500 and 550 credit ranges. We've got all that financing laid out. Once we get the community, it'll be a gated community. It's going to be beautiful, first class. But once we get all that rolling, we've got financing coming out of our ears once we get it rolling.
Awesome.
So I do have a question about that. So is it the research, the little bit of research that I've done, because I'm actually fascinated by it. I feel like there's a tiny home in my future personally.
Awesome.
So I'm very fascinated by it. I've been fascinated by it for a few years. But most of the time I've heard that you really need, you're forced to do like an RV loan, like a trailer loan.
So once we get the development in motion, we've got financial lenders who will work with us. You can set up a 7, 10, 12, 15-year loan. Probably 15 is about the max right now at this point in financing reality for tiny homes. But we can do it typically. Once we get the community going, David and Kristin, we'll have financing for about $3,500 down on the house by itself. And then just based upon the land and the improvements, a little bit on top of that, as far as down payment for home and land, owning the package, not renting it, owning home and land.
So not renting the land, because that was my next question. So you're actually saying owning the land too.
Right. We have the ability to do both, but most clients would rather own the property than just lease the property. Joshua is brilliant as far as being able to decide what's best for this business plan or that business plan with renting or purchasing. But our heart is, and Joshua will tell you about it more. And actually right now, I'll just tell you, Joshua is a 3rd-generation general contractor. So he's the builder guy. He's the nuts and bolts guy of the lumber and everything coming together to be a beautiful tiny home. I'm kind of the sales and the financing guy. But the whole package can truly meet the American dream. If someone's owning the land and the home, Kristin, and it's affordable, I think that's what most people are crying out for. And I don't know anybody in an apartment that if they had a little bit of money for the down payment and could enjoy living in the community that we're talking about, that would not prefer that over a respected apartment complex.
I can't wait to get Josh started on this. I mean,
And here's Joshua.
Josh, talk to us, man. You are the guy. You're gonna be one of the popular guys here pretty soon once this whole thing takes off. I mean, how does it start, man? Where designs to construction, time frame. We're dealing with septics here. Is it hooked up to city? I mean, guide us through the process here.
Well, basically, and thanks for having us on, guys. David, Kristin, it's a pleasure to talk what our passion is, and just what got us here on this Zoom call was, it is a passion for it, because if you look at our market, which is Austin, you're looking at a 500,000 medium house, and that's awesome, that's great. But some people are kind of locked out of that, and that's okay, because that niches us an opportunity for fractions of that. And what I mean by that is we can get, once we get our next developments, tiny developments, if you will, which are going to be $399 below or 400 up to 1,000 square feet product, even up to 1,300 square foot, which is a small footprint, but it fits a family's need, and that's where we're. There's no inventory, so we just put anything out there, and you guys know it'll sell. But our thought process behind that was, if we can get somebody into a product, help them save $1,000 a month, we've saved them $12,000 a year, which turns into $120,000 in 10 years. If you double that, to saving them $2,000 a month with our product, being less on the mortgage, less on the utilities, less on the maintenance, less on the upkeep. We do $2,000. That's $250,000 in 10 years. So not only have we helped them get into a product, but we've changed the trajectory of that family. By now, you're freed up to do whatever you want with the money that's left over. And then we kind of say, look, we have different options for you. If you guys want to look at buying tiny houses individually, tiny packages as an investor, or a tiny development as to kind of JV with us as a development project. So so we're just beyond excited with that. Now, as you know, David, Kristin, I'm restricted with the septic system with whatever the number of lots are going to be per parcel. So one county is different, Travis is different, Bastrop different from Caldwell, different from Hayes, different from every county is a little bit different. So we just got to identify the actual the land, and then I go get a preliminary site plan, and then they, once we go through that process, they determine, okay, we will allow you to have 2 per acre. Last time I talked to Bastrop, I was able to get 3 per acre, but I've just got to get back into those discussions with them, see if we can do that. And if I can get 3 tinies per acre, you already know what that does with density. And then we're coming in at a fraction. If it's a small, we're coming in at 2 2.25. So, I mean, who's going to touch it? And we're calling it not the American dream, but the new American dream, because you're able now to afford it, number one, but you can take those finances that were going somewhere else and really apply them to whatever you want them to. You have more control of your finances. And when you look at a tiny, Kristin, because as you said, it's in the future, and congratulations, by the way, the average house in the United States of America right now consumes 10,000 kilowatts a day. Our tinies, the way we're designing them, are consuming between 2 and 3 kilowatts a day. So they can't be touched with our metal roofs, metal framing, high performance water fixtures, our insulation, the window packages. I mean, just everything about it. And we've got, we're going to be able to upgrade it with some solar. We're going to be able to. So we'll take the electrical component and put it on solar. The water component, if we can tie into a water municipality, or we can put it on a cistern. And guess what? For somebody, if you have a tiny customer or client that wants to be off the grid, we can actually do that for them. Or they say, you know what, I want to tie into existing electrical, existing septic, whatever, we can do that as well. We can go the structure itself. We can do we're going to do the roads. We're going to do the infrastructure. We're going to do utilities. So it's going to be a turnkey package that we're going to be able to provide to those customers once the actual development is up and going. And as you well know, as soon as we say, hey, we can start pre-ordering or pre-buying, how long is that waiting list going to be, David? You got a question, David?
No. Yeah, I have a million questions, man, and I know we're running out of time, but I mean, the first question I have is time frame. What do you think it's going to take to build one of these? I come to your front door right now and I say, hey, I want this tiny home, let's say 1,000 square feet or a little bit less. What is the time frame that it's going to take right here if the land is already there?
If the land's already there, I'm going to give you the answer I've been giving everyone is, if we were in normal circumstances, I could give you an exact time frame, but right now I've got variables that are beyond my control. For the most part, material I can get, manpower is back, material is back. But realistically, we'd be looking at 6 months, maybe 9 months.
6 to 9 months.
But once we get, but we're also going to have, models that are going to be there already. So people will be able to walk into units and they're going to be ready to sell that day. So we have a combination of
customizable.
Exactly. But as you know, I mean, we're kind of hampered right now with all the empty shelves. Well, those empty shelves are also at the Home Depot, the Lowe's, the McCoys, and are, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know it's the way, but I mean, this could be amazing because, say for example, I always wanted a house in Colorado, right? I wanted it, but there's also people that want housing here in Austin that don't necessarily live in Austin, but they come over here and would like to bring their family and would like to have that, nice piece of yard in the back instead of just coming and renting for over the weekend. So being able to be an owner, and then whenever I'm not here in Austin, I'm able to rent that little place out.
Yep.
It's beyond crazy. It's amazing. It's wonderful.
Well, we've got some clients right now that we're talking to. We're in the discussions of their own land. They're wanting to put a tiny on there, and then just, of course, just floated out. Hey, have you ever thought of putting several out here, and then having your mother-in-law come here and send this one, or your daughter or your son that's in college or whatever, and then maybe Airbnb the other one. And we're literally in discussions with a handful of clients with that same exact, where they never thought it possible or plausible. Now it is. Excuse the siren as well.
Hey, David and Kristin, let me share two quick thoughts here. Joshua did not mention our factory. Once we get our factory going, which Joshua was not talking about our factory timelines, but once we get our factory going, which will be about another $100,000 that we're hoping to partner with someone on, but I believe those timeframes will be cut in half once we've got our factory going right here on our model center here in Austin, where we already are. And then secondly, Joshua and I have a business plan for duplexes. Kristin, this will be interesting. David, think about a duplex where the client can live on one side and lease the other side out, 399 square feet, 399 or larger, but 399 or larger. So a duplex concept, what if we have 50, 75, 100 duplexes in a community? It's a whole business plan of duplexes. So the client can live on one side, rent the other one out. And they always have full control of their asset. If they keep it on wheels, they can take it to Colorado whenever they want. Wonderful thought we're talking about.
That is
and let me dovetail to that. I could put it on wheels, guys. I can put it on a slab. I can put it on a pier and beam. And to be honest with you, I've got a property in Spicewood. I'm going to put a tiny in a tree, so it'll be a tiny tree house that I'll be Airbnb in the future. So literally whatever your mind can conceive and believe, we can do, as long as it doesn't get too crazy. But we're not limited to just wheels or just concrete or just slab. I mean, it could be on top of a garage. It could be an ADU in the back. I mean, it could just really be anything.
Right. I have another question for you really quick, because I
Yep.
deal a lot with land as well in terms of manufactured double wides. Are you guys running, or will you run into any type of restrictions in terms of for the city, for example, for tiny homes? Because there's some places that don't allow, like, for example, RVs or single.
We normally, the first discussions that I have is, okay, where are you? What's your address? And we're more in the rural communities as opposed to any. Excuse the sirens. I got an ambulance coming through again.
No worries, and I know you're at the site, so thanks a lot for taking the time to have this call.
No, I'm actually at another. I'm looking at a tiny structure right now out of town, but what I was saying was, if you, I mean, it just all depends. City of Austin, you already know what we're dealing with. I mean, there's just no. I mean, it is what it is. But once we go into the rural county areas, and as long as it's not an HOA, it's pretty open. But if we go in the city of Austin, then restrictions, heavy duty restrictions. Once we go on in Travis, it's not as bad. But once we go into the other counties, I mean, they're pretty open, unless there's an HOA, and then I just got to see what all their amendments are and whatever the HOA operating agreements are.
Right.
But pretty open though, David.
Okay. All right. I don't know, Kristin, do you have any other questions from your side?
No. I mean, I think some of mine are practical questions, like even if county-wise, if HOA-wise, I was allowed to put one in my backyard until, for a time for visitors or my adult kids until we're ready to sell this and then, take our tiny home on the road, so to speak. Like, how does it work in terms of utilities? Like, are you plugging into utilities within the city, or is it really self-sustaining? Or I guess I would assume there are options.
Yeah, there are options, Kristin. This is Josh, by the way. There's options. So basically, once we sit down and talk, you say, okay, look, this is my why. This is why I want it tiny. Then I would design it for your exit strategy per se. So whatever that is, then it'd be designed. So you'd have the utilities where you could take it wherever it needed to go. So the septic wouldn't be permanent. The electrical wouldn't be permanent. I'd actually put plugs that you can plug in, like the plug, for example. You could plug into a 30 or 50 amp pedestal, boom, just like in an RV spot. So you can, if you say, look, Josh, we want to be able to take it. We want to travel with it. We want to go to the lake. We want to go to the ocean, whatever. Okay, then I'll design your tiny for whatever your lifestyle is going to be, as opposed to making it permanent where you got to bring in a plumber and electrician every single time you want to move. You wouldn't. You just would unhook it and take off.
So in terms of your plan with the community you're hoping to build, what would the level of customization be for the client? Like, are you hoping to sort of say, here's 5 choices for the quickest timeline, don't make any changes, or is this going to be like a fully customizable scenario?
No, we're basically going to have, you're going to have about five, like you said, 5 different options. Here are options, give you guys some different elevations, some different looks, some different sizes. But for us, from a production and manufacturing standpoint, I need to be able to take your product and get it to you as soon as possible. So we're customizing this, tailoring this, bringing in special order stuff. It's not feasible. So it is going to be a little, but that's okay. I think because there's such a market demand and the inventory is just non-existent, they're going to be okay with that. They're going to be 100% okay with that. So I think that if they they're just going to be ecstatic that they're able to get out of an apartment and into their own new American dream with their house, barbecue place. You got neighbors. They can have family over. They can have a yard that's going to be half an acre yard, a third of an acre yard. Heaven in Texas.
That is true. I guess maybe David, you already said this, but so what are we looking at roughly from those 5 elevations, that are 5 designs that you can have? What are we looking at in terms of pricing? Just a rough estimate.
Just throw this out there as a crazy figure, okay? It all depends upon what Kristin wants now.
Go nuts. Go nuts.
I'm gonna quote anywhere from 50,000 to 200,000. Just whatever you can think of as a minimum, or a medium, or a maximum. Of course, the 200 range would include Wi-Fi talking and solar everything, and all the bells and whistles you can even dream of in the industry. But 50,000 to 200,000 would be honest.
Okay, perfect.
So if
David, let me.
Oh, I was just going to ask, you could please feel free to say what you're about to say, but I wanted to make sure that we put it out there. The best way for people to contact you, if they want to contact you directly to ask questions about this, that's what I was going to say. Go ahead, Jacob.
Wait,
Josh, I mean, I'm renaming you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We look alike. That's okay. What I was going to say was that what David said was, Richardson was from an individual purchasing standpoint, but at the development, they're going to be standard prices. So and those prices, like I said, are going to be all in. They're only going to get these options, as opposed to as a tiny for Kristin. Kristin said, okay, look, that it can go from 50, 60, really realistically about 60, 65, all the way. We have other tiny builders. They don't build anything. They got a year and a half backlog right now, and they don't build anything for less than 200,000. And that's not our market, but it's out there. We have several builders, buddies, that's their market, very specialized. But for the development, we're looking at 225, 250, just depending on what size they want and what they're trying to accommodate there. And
that's
then
home and land and all the improvements.
Yeah, that's all in.
So
all in.
Land and everything.
Turnkey.
And David, you should be able to help. David Richardson, you should be able to help us out with, like you said, with packages for financing.
Yes, for sure. Once we get the community, the boundary lines, north, south, east, west, we've got all that finalized. I've got financing ready to roll with it. And David, you don't know this, but I've just partnered with the largest mortgage broker company in America. I have over 2,000 loan products, 170 different investors that I represent. So for factory built homes in America, I will have financing available.
Awesome. Well, make sure I'll send you some clients.
Wonderful. And I-10, wonderful.
What else do you need? I got I-10, I got 99s, I
conventional
got.
FHA.
Tell me.
Veterans, don't forget the veterans.
That is true. Really important. Guys, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And look forward to working with you guys in the future. I'm sure Kristin is psyched as well. And hopefully owning one of these bad boys as well.
Privilege. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure meeting you guys.
Have a good one.
Oh, and our contact info. Hey, David, real quick, contact info. My direct line is going to be 512-291-1114. 512-291-1114. Josh, Tiny House Nation LLC. David, go ahead.
David and Kristin, the sales and marketing and finance and down payments and all that comes through me at phone number 256-458-3577, 256-458-3577. And once monies are committed, just real quickly, a simple formula that Josh and I work out is if it's a cash transaction, 50% down to start the project, 40% down in the middle of the project, and the last 10% when we're finished, then the last 10% giving our profit at the tail end for cash investors.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll be in touch then. Thank you so much again for taking the time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Wow. So that was pretty interesting. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm thinking that there's probably going to be several investors for this, especially those people with cash. A lot of California people, California investors that are going to end up buying acres. And eventually, this is where the market's heading in terms of affordability, right? Because there's still going to be your 800,000 square feet houses, 5,000 square feet house. I mean, mansions really. And people that can afford that, obviously, they're going to need a place to live. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I wonder what the market will end up looking like. Like, how will this be different from, say, like a mobile home park, right? Although I'm sure they would say the materials being different, and especially if it's on wheels and everything. So there are differences, and they're in many cases, much smaller. Um, but I think that's probably a question on people's mind. Um, but I am excited because, personally, as agents, I've had clients ask me about this in the last year because they're just stuck. They're in tiny apartments. They can't get anything. And people still want to live in Austin, you know? So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what the future brings.
Perfect. So let's. I mean, obviously, I think we're gonna have to do eventually another show with them,
Yeah.
and maybe go into one of these tiny homes so they can describe like what it took to actually make it.
Mhm.
And we can take it from there and be able to educate our viewers and people that are interested in it, and
Mhm.
they can reach out either directly to them or through us, however they want to.
Sure.
But that'll be pretty cool. Hey, next week I'm excited. I'm excited. What do we have?
I am too. So next week we're going to be talking about just music. Austin is the live music capital, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk to a real musician. Super excited about that. And just what's the scene really like? Has it changed? And then probably a little bit of fun with just getting to hear what kind of music David and I like.
I have a question though, because I'm psyched of who we're gonna have, who we're gonna interview for next week.
Mhm.
I do want to ask, what kind of music is it though? Because I saw his picture and I'm gonna start looking into it.
You know what? Like, I don't even feel qualified to answer that. Like, I mean, I would say it's probably like reggae fusion, kind of like, I don't know what he would call it. So I'm going to let him answer that.
No, it's pretty cool. But
But yeah.
I really always wonder like what it takes. Is this something that you already know you have, and then you just explore, or is it practice, 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 practice makes perfect? Do you need a manager? How does it work? What are the insights to be able to be this musician and have a band, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, cool. Well, hey, we'll catch you all next week. Don't forget,
Please hit
don't forget, please
like,
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 please.
subscribe, and join our
What's going
Facebook.
on? Don't be shy.
She's getting ready for tonight too. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and join our community, please.
Talk to you later.